It competed with Ferrari for the 2023 Le Mans headlines, it propelled NASCAR into the motorsports world spotlight, and now it might be coming back. I'm of course talking about NASCAR's Garage 56 Chevrolet Camaro, arguably America's biggest motorsports export since Logan Sargent. Speaking of Logan Sargent, I'm running a giveaway of some exclusive merch signed by Logan for my subscribers over on this video, which I'll link down below. Don't miss out. Following its groundbreaking appearance at the Circuit de la Sarthe, the Garage 56 car has embarked on something of a farewell tour, making appearances at Brands Hatch and Goodwood in the UK, followed by Daytona, and most recently, parading in front of its adoring fans at the Charlotte Roval last weekend alongside NASCAR Cup Series weekend. But now, as per 24 Hours of Le Mans tradition, the car will be displayed in the exact condition it finished the race, and the venue will be Hendrick Motorsports Museum in North Carolina. So a visit now becomes a highly important pilgrimage for any fan of NASCAR or endurance racing in America and around the world. But what does the future hold for this iconic race car and its legacy? The answer in this case could be anything. I've already covered how the technical developments of the G56 car might have aided Hendrick in their Cup Series racing program, and Chad Knaus has repeatedly been quizzed on exactly this, especially following Hendrick getting a slap on the wrist for quote, modified hood louvers, which seemingly aided their wins in Richmond and Martinsville, around the same time that Garage 56 was getting its finishing touches put on before its trip to France. Many accused Hendrick of utilising Garage 56 as a bit of a loophole, as while the car's development is a separate project with its own budget, the in-house nature of Hendrick means any aero lessons that are learned with the international team will of course have been shared with Hendrick's 4 Cup Series entries. But following the conclusion of this season, NASCAR will be revising a lot of the Cup Series regulations following their extensive testing and experimentation in 2023. And while much of the focus will be on the short track package to correct the issues with that type of racing in NASCAR, we already know that much of Hendrick's top secret Le Mans data will be going into the NASCAR R&D Center in Concord, North Carolina, presumably with the aim of making the NASCAR road course racing spectacle more exciting than just waiting for AJ Allmendinger to do anything, or a bunch of bump and runs at the big braking zones. This would without a doubt be well received. Garage 56 on its own had been really entertaining to watch both at Le Mans and in demonstrations, so 30-odd cars inspired by a similar design philosophy could be a riot. With that in mind, let's consider some futures for the G56 concept. The first, and probably easiest transition, would be heading to IMSA. The idea of a road racing stock car is nothing new. 4th generation Cup cars were popular in IMSA through the 90s, but as GT Catalog over on X noted, none of these entries were remotely competitive. But Garage 56's adaptability to make a Cup car concept and adapt it to the pinnacle of road endurance racing shows its versatility, and that could translate into a modified category IMSA entry. The issue of drivers wouldn't be a problem either. If Hendrick chose to run modified G56 Camaros in IMSA, they could count on their trio of Jenson Button, Mike Rockenfeller and Jimmy Johnson, who all have IMSA experience under their belt across various categories. And fellow ex-Hendrick Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon would absolutely have their name in the mix too. From a technical perspective, this theoretically wouldn't be a problem given IMSA's BOP or balance of performance specifications. While the aerodynamics and philosophy behind the G56 was that of a modified NASCAR Cup car, its performance was a mix of various other categories. It was faster at Le Mans than the entire GT category, and just as fast as the LMP2 cars on the straights for just over 60% of the lap at the Circuit de la Sarthe. So mixing up its weighting, ballast and power output might eventually give you a car that could mesh into an evolution of one of IMSA's existing categories. The same applies to any proposal that could see the G56 racing overseas again, most likely with the World Endurance Championship. The WEC is home to a long list of NASCAR alumni, as well as some of the biggest names in motorsports, with drivers hailing from F1 and elite sports car racing making the WEC one of the toughest series in the world. Names like Fittipaldi, Villeneuve, Kubica, Giovinazzi, Buemi and Blomqvist are not to be shrugged at. Former 2311 driver Kamui Kobayashi came to the Indy road course amidst great fanfare from the Toyota Gazoo Racing WEC team, and had great pace, only missing out on an impressive finishing position because of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s personal vendetta to spin every international driver in the field, with Jenson Button also on the receiving end of Stenhouse's patriotism. So any help that might be required testing or developing the G56 is no problem. NASCAR has a wealth of experienced drivers who could help a testing program for that now famous blue Camaro as it develops into a potential full-time WEC entry. But here's where it gets into the really interesting ideas. Drivers from every discipline of the sport have united in their praise and interest of the Garage 56 car. Its legacy as a crazy concept idea turned into a fan favourite reality has really made a lot of possibilities appear. So here's the dream proposal: a one-class series for Garage 56 cars as something of a sister series to the NASCAR Cup Series. We have no idea how the G56 performance would be on an oval. However, one of NASCAR's big problems is drawing viewership to its road course races. While the Chicago street course was a great success in the face of crazy weather conditions, NASCAR has faced big challenges in bringing in a larger audience for traditional circuit racing at places like Sonoma or COTA, despite the appearance of international stars like Kimi Raikkonen. So could Garage 56 change this? It's definitely not impossible. NASCAR fans have consistently shown that they will turn up for a good racing product if it's not on an oval. This year's next-gen car of course formed the basis for the Garage 56 car, but the basis for much of the next-gen's big overhauls was actually the race car from the Aussie V8 series. Shane Van Gisbergen's win in Chicago ignited a huge amount of interest in the Aussie V8 Supercars series, with RCR drafting in Brody Kostecki for Indianapolis to great publicity. And as many of us know, that series produces some of the best racing to be found anywhere in the world on both street tracks and traditional non-oval circuits. And the Aussie V8 series has accomplished this reputation despite a large wave of fan disillusionment. This kind of stunning revival is exactly what NASCAR needs if it wants any hope of bringing back some of its early 2000s fanfare of packed stands, competitive on-track product, and most importantly, wider appeal road racing. Garage 56's massive publicity swell could do exactly this, potentially doing a small race calendar at the road courses alongside NASCAR Weekend, where each team in the Cup Series, and a few outside entries like Team FJ, can field one Garage 56 spec car. So you have the big name drivers that keeps traditional fans entertained, alongside a proven, exciting race product that has NASCAR's big V8 noise without the Cup Series stage break nonsense. And it would allow NASCAR to keep a connection with some of the wider road course racing fans, who've seemingly been ignored in the schedule this year, with the loss of the Charlotte Roval and no 4th of July weekend at Road America the obvious missing venues. Perhaps a series of this nature could include more international races, travelling to visit the Mexico and Canadian partner series, or if NASCAR like me very much, a visit alongside the Euro Series at an iconic venue like Brands Hatch. All these ideas are purely theoretical and speculative, but there might just be a nugget of genius in there somewhere. I don't think the forces that run NASCAR are stupid enough to take the Garage 56 effort, shove it somewhere in a museum, and forget about it to never be seen again. So this might not be the end of the road for G56 racing. And for both NASCAR's sake and our own enjoyment, let's hope that's the case. What's in store for Garage 56's future? I'd love to read your predictions down in the comments. And if you enjoyed that video and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and consider hitting the link down below, where you can have your say on what video I make next. But as always, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, stay safe out on the road, and I'll see you next time.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes it. Lewis Hamilton, champion of the world.
Ewan Kankin, 4 times title holder.